So I thought to tell you a little bit about the prison visit that Venerable Samten and I did on Saturday to Airway Heights Correctional Center. So they have a Buddhist group that's been going there for many years now, and under Lama Inga's guidance and Judy Patterson. And you can really see the guys are, are practicing well and very enthusiastic. And so there were about 30 of them who came to the talk, who really listened. And then seven of them took refuge. One of them had written to me before and had requested refuge. So he was all prepped up. We had sent him all the material on refuge and precepts. And then a number of them, of the other 7, had taken refuge before, and they wanted to renew that and reconfirm their precepts. And then there was one man in his early 30s who came to me, and he said that this was his first time at a Dharma teaching. One of his friends had suggested he come. And he was very upfront, and he said, I killed somebody when I was 19, and I've been imprisoned from that. And I was really kind of a rotten person in prison. I was starting a lot of fights and stabbing people, and he said that he has been he was in foster care since he was age 8, and under the custody of the states. And so he was in a boys' home until he was 17, and then at 19 wound up in prison. But he said that he's really been trying to turn his life around. His 25-year sentence, I think he said. And he said when he came to prison, he didn't know how to read or write. And he subsequently learned to read and write. And he hasn't had a citation for 4.5 years now. So he's really been working on his anger and his behavior. And he said, I'm not picking fights with people and starting things anymore. So he was really intrigued by the Dharma. And although I usually don't encourage people to take refuge in precepts the first time they come to something, in his case I didn't say anything because I thought it would be really good for him, because he had some faith and some really wanting to change. And he said his mental health practitioner or therapist at the prison had suggested that he learn some meditation and get a spiritual mentor. So, and he was following her advice, so something going on there. So he took refuge in precepts also. I'm hoping he'll write, because he really seemed to want to have a mentor afterwards. Venerable Samten was saying that if I said to if anybody else said to the guys during the talk what I said to them, they would have been flattened. That's because I was teasing them all about their macho behavior. And I've done that in other prisons too. And guys are usually very sensitive to this, because especially in prison, the whole thing of respect is a very big thing, because in regular society, most of these people didn't have any respect. There was no respect in their families. They grew up without this kind of, feeling like a worthwhile person. So when you're in prison, every small thing is viewed from the viewpoint of, is somebody respecting me or not? And so that's why when we go in and we just treat them like normal people, which takes absolutely no effort or thought from my viewpoint, they're so stunned, because they're not used to this, because definitely in prison they aren't shown any respect. But but this whole issue of respect leaves people, the guys in prison, really kind of prickly, and somebody cuts in front of them, and it's like this macho thing of, this is my right, and get out of my way, and move it, Buster. And so I was kind of imitating them, like that, and it actually made them laugh, which was good, because I think that we have to be able to laugh at ourselves and laugh at how stuck we got. They laughed, didn't they? Yeah, you know, they saw the truth in it. And then there was one guy who was sitting towards the edge, and he was sitting like this. You know, so there's definitely something being communicated by his body. And the expression on his face, and it was, you know, another one of these things of, well, I'm not so sure I want to meet this guy on the street. But what I've learned is don't take those things at face value. Yeah, and so I forget what it was. Do you remember? But I found,
It might have been complaining about the food. Did they do that?
Oh yeah, maybe it was, teaching them about complaining about stuff, and how we find different ways of complaining.
Did they end up in jail in the first place really high?
Oh yeah, that might have been it too. Or because I was teasing them, you know, how well, not necessarily teasing, but you know, how most of the people that I knew who were in prison committed their crime under the influence of something or another. So he kind of snuck a look at his friend, and then I saw that. Oh no, I asked them some question about, do you think this is, you know, brings happiness or brings suffering? And he shook his head, you know. Obviously the answer was supposed to be yes, and he went, no. And so I pointed him out. I said, oh, you don't think so? You know, but I forget what I said. But anyway, he wound up being able to laugh. And his whole face transformed. You know, he laughed and his face transformed. So I think that's really good for these guys. It kind of cracks the, you know, the front that prison forces them to put on out of self-protection. Yeah, and so they can finally, you know, at least for a moment, let the facade down. Okay.